students, welcome to the Bio Everywhere that makes your biological concepts easy. So in the today's session, we will discuss a basic topic that is the parts of flower. So we will study about parts of flower. So this flower is basically the reproductive structure of a plant. So the reproductive structure is flower. Now the parts of flower, it have four parts. One is calyx, second is corolla, third is androecium, and fourth one is gynoecium. These are the four parts of flower. So basically this calyx is also known as sepals. Calyx is known as sepals, corolla is known as petals, and androecium is also known as stamen, while this gynoecium is also known as pistil, or it is also known as carpel. So basically flowers के चार पार्ट हैं, कैलिक्स, कोरोला, गायनोशियम, एंड्रोशियम, और इनकी कॉमन नेम या फिर इनके सिंपल नेम्स क्या क्या हैं? कैलिक्स को सेपल कह सकते हैं, कोरोला को पेटल्स कहते हैं, एंड्रोशियम को स्टैमेन कहते हैं और गायनोशियम को पिस्टिल या फिर कार्पल भी कह सकते हैं. जैसे कि आपके निकनेम्स होते हैं इसी टाइप से इनके भी कॉमन नेम्स है, कैलिक्स सेपल, कोरोला पेटल्स, एंड्रोशियम स्टैमेन एंड गायनोशियम पिस्टिल और कार्पल. सो ये तो हो गया इनके नाम. अब इसके बाद हम पढ़ते हैं अबाउट द फंक्शन ऑफ दीज टाइप्स, फंक्शन ऑफ दीज पार्ट्स. सो this calyx or sepals, these are basically the green color small leaves which are present along with the petals. जैसे कि आपने रोज का फ्लावर देखा है सभी ने, तो रोज की जो पंखुड़ियां हैं रेड कलर की या किसी भी कलर का जो रोज है उसके नीचे ग्रीन कलर की शॉर्ट लीव्स प्रेजेंट होती हैं. जब तक फ्लावर ओपन नहीं होता, फ्लावर नहीं खिलता, वो उसे बड स्टेज में क्या करती हैं? प्रोटेक्ट करती हैं. So these green colored small leaves are called sepals. So these leaves are called sepals and they are helpful to protect the flower in the bud stage. So they provide protection. They provide protection during bud stage. During bud stage means जब तक flower नहीं खिलता है, ओपन नहीं होता है, ये उसे प्रोटेक्शन प्रोवाइड करती हैं. सेकेंड वन इज कोरोला और ऑल्सो नोन एज पेटल्स. दीज आर द कलर्ड लीव्स. दीज आर कलरफुल. दीज आर कलर्ड and these petals help the insect to attract for the process of pollination. So the function of petals is they attract insects for pollination. What do you mean by this term pollination? This pollination stands for transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma, means from the male reproductive part to the female reproductive part, and this is known as pollination. And these petals are usually colored to attract the insect for the process of pollination. Now the third type is androecium, or it is also known as the stamen. And this is the male reproductive part of the flower. This is male reproductive part of flower. And this anther or stamen is further divided into the two types, two parts. One is anther and the second one is filament. This stamen or androecium, it consists of two parts, anther and filament. This bilobed structure is called anther and this long stalk is called filament. This long stalk is filament and this bilobed structure is called anther. And here in the anther, pollen grains are produced which represent the male gametophyte. So male gametophyte in the flower is pollen grain and these pollen grains are produced inside the anther. The next one is filament, which is a long stalk like structure. Now the fourth one is gynoecium, also known as pistil or carpel. This is further divided into the three parts: stigma, style and ovary. Stigma, style and ovary. And this pistil or carpel, it represents the female reproductive part of the flower. Now the stigma and this long tubes represent the style, and this basal bulbs part represents the ovary. Now here the stigma is responsible for the pollen grain attachment and for the pollen germination. So ये स्टिग्मा का बेसिक फंक्शन क्या होता है, जो भी एंथर से पोलन ग्रेन स्टिग्मा पे लाई करता है, ये स्टिग्मा उसे अटैच करती है. इन स्टिग्मा और पोलन ग्रेन के बीच में केमिकल इंटरेक्शंस होती है. अगर ये केमिकली फिट हो जाता है, मींस अगर पोलन ग्रेन राइट टाइप का होता है, तो पिस्टिल या स्टिग्मा उसे क्या कर लेगा, एक्सेप्ट करेगा, और फिर उसके बाद पोलन ग्रेन यहाँ पे अटैच होने के बाद अपने आप को जर्मिनेट करेगा. सो पोलन ग्रेन यहाँ पे अटैच होके जब ये केमिकली इंटरेक्शन बेनिफिशियल होती है, फिट हो जाता है, देन दिस पोलन विल जर्मिनेट. पोलन क्या करेगा, जर्मिनेट करेगा, एंड देन आफ्टर जर्मिनेशन इट प्रोड्यूसेस अ पोलन ट्यूब, and this pollen tube passes from stigma to the style, and then it enters into the ovary, and here in the ovary there is presence of ovule, and inside this ovule there is presence of egg cell. So here the pollen tube will move toward the ovary, and from ovary to the ovule, and here this anther will produce the pollen grain which represents the male gametophyte, and these pollens are either transferred by the self pollination or by cross pollination, and they reach up to the stigma, and from stigma they germinate and produce a pollen tube, and that pollen tube reaches toward the ovary, and then it releases its pollen grain or the male gamete and to fuse with the egg cell to produce the जाइगोट. ठीक है, तो यहां से कौन सी प्रोसेस होगी, फर्टिलाइजेशन, एंड फर्टिलाइजेशन का रिजल्ट क्या बनेगा, जाइगोट, एंड देन जाइगोट डेवलप इनटू द एम्ब्रियो सेक, एंड देन एम्ब्रियो सेक फर्दर कन्वर्टेड इनटू द सीड. सो दिस इज अबाउट फर्टिलाइजेशन, और these are the parts of flower. So part of flower basically चार part हैं, calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. Calyx represent the sepals which provide protection during bud stage. Corolla are colored because they attract insect for pollination. Androecium represent the male reproductive part of the flower, and which consists of anther and filament. Anther, in which pollen grains are produced, which represent the male gametophyte. Second, filament is a long stalk which hold the anther. Gynoecium, pistil and carpel, these are the female reproductive part, and they are further divided into stigma, style and ovary. Stigma, style and ovary. So basically यहाँ पे pollination की process होती है. This pollination means transfer of pollen from anther to the stigma. Now answer about the self pollination and what do you mean by the cross pollination in the comment section. So this is the basic session for the parts of flower. If you like this video, then please share, like, comment and subscribe the channel. Thank you very much.